Hello, everybody. How's it going? My name is Russ Frushtick, and I'm here at an airport. It's an airport. You me now. But I thought you guys would want to know. Obviously, I spent the morning playing with the Nintendo Switch, and it was obviously I had a lot of experiences with it. So I know a lot of people are curious. How does it feel? How does it feel in the hands? Whether the controller works well. So I'm going to try to cover a lot of that stuff. Obviously, if you have any specific questions, feel free to drop in the comments. I will try to answer them as they come in. But again, I'm in an airport, so I might not see them. Who knows? I don't even know if this is legal, me being in an airport. What airport? I can't tell you. It's a secret, but you could probably figure it out. Okay, so first off, what games did I play? So I played a little bit of Zelda. I played a little bit of ARMS, the crazy, weird punching game. I played Splatoon. I played 1-2 Switch. And I did not play Skyrim. Someone was mentioning Skyrim. I did not play that. I'm going to talk a little bit about control stuff first. So one of the ways that I've really wanted to play with the Nintendo Switch was in the portable mode, which is to say it's horizontal, kind of looking like a Vita. So it's got the screen in the center, and you've got the controls on the left and right. This is kind of my ideal scenario because I want to sort of use it as a portable device primarily and play on the couch and subway and stuff like that. In that scenario, I think it's good but not great. The biggest problem right now that I see with the layout of the controller is the right analog stick is actually really kind of tough to get to. If you look at a photo of it, obviously I don't have a photo with me, but if you look at a photo of it, your thumb really kind of has to do a little bit of work to get over to that right analog stick because it's so close to the edge that it isn't super ergonomic. The grip that actually comes with the device that you can snap two Joy-Cons into kind of makes up for that and makes it more comfortable, but there are no grips for the portable, in portable mode. There's no way to put grips on the back of it, at least not yet. So if you're in portable mode, that right analog stick is kind of eh. Everything else is fine. I think other than that, I think the controller is better than the Wii U gamepad, which I personally really, really hated. So that's sort of something you should know. Once you put a grip on it, or once you're using the Pro controller, it's fine. I don't have that issue either, at all. So that was totally fine. But yeah, so I did want to mention that about the portable thing. Anthony was asking, how does the Joy-Con feel by itself? Too small or fine? So I've seen a lot of people, obviously before it came out, I saw, photos of it and the video of it, and it looked super small. Like if you see people using it, you're like, there is no way this would be a good controller. And I was actually surprised. I played Sonic, whatever that Sonic game is, the retro-inspired Sonic game. And I was actually really surprised at how good it worked as a normal controller. It's not the best normal controller, but I found it a lot more comfortable than, say, using the Wiimote sideways. I never really liked that. And I found this much more approachable. A lot of that has to do with an actual analog stick on it. But yeah, I kind of liked it. I don't think you can play a 60-hour game like that, but I think for short multiplayer games where you're just, with someone else, I think it's totally viable. Half hour or whatever, playing that kind of game. Okay, what is the difference between the Pro controller and the regular controller, says George. I asked this question on the stream earlier to actually one of the Nintendo reps to find out what the big difference was, and he told me, and now I've totally forgotten. And when he told me, I was like, oh yes, of course, that makes perfect sense, but I do not remember right now. So my gut says you're probably fine with the grip that comes with the device and not spending $60, but again, I might be totally forgetting some aspect that you might need. Camden was asking about ARMS. So I played ARMS. ARMS is the game. It's like a boxing game, and you're controlling multiple characters. You're controlling one guy. It's sort of like a third-person boxing game, and you hold the two Joy-Con controllers in your hands, and you punch like you're boxing. Obviously, Wii boxing springs to mind. But I actually liked ARMS. I had a lot of fun with it. It's actually surprisingly responsive. It's not the sort of game, again, that I would play, I feel like, for hours and hours on end, but as like a fun motion sensing game, I found it okay. It felt like there could be some interesting like fighting game depth to it, not insanely so. Oh, that is actually it. Thank you, Nick. Sorry, just to go back to the other thing. The D-pad, the Pro controller has an actual D-pad, whereas on the Joy-Cons, there are just buttons. There's no actual D-pad. So on the left side, underneath the analog stick, you'll see instead of a D-pad, there are just buttons, which makes sense because both of the Joy-Cons need to basically look the same. Anyway, I was talking about ARMS. ARMS is fun. I wasn't blown away by ARMS, but I found it cute and enjoyable. Hard to imagine that they could justify a $60 price point if that's what they're going for, but again, we'll see. Brian, I can't really speak to what's included on the online service. I know their website has been updated with some details, but not a ton of details. So, again, they didn't have it working there. I'd love to see trophies and or achievements added, but they're not talking about that stuff. But yeah, so there's that. Haptic feedback. So Christian was talking about haptics, that's Rumble. And I used a little bit of the haptic feedback when I was playing 1-2 Touch. There's a game, you might have seen a gif of me milking a cow. So there's a little bit of haptic feedback there. There's also a game where you're like tilting the Joy-Con controller in your hand to feel like how many marbles are in it. Obviously there are no actual marbles, but it like digitally creates marbles. I thought the haptics were good. I didn't find it to be super powerful. I would say kind of in the middle ground between like a PS4 haptic control, or like Rumble and a PS4 controller, and an iPhone haptic, which is obviously very soft. But yeah. I need a haircut and a shave. Very true. I won't argue with that. Spencer was asking if I saw the main menu. I did not see the main menu. All of the games were running like straight into the game. Even when they reset them, it like went right back into the game. So no details. No details about the Virtual Console. We have an interview with Reggie that is happening, I think, right now. So hopefully we'll get more information from him about Virtual Console. I know a lot of people are curious. Nico was asking about Zelda, specifically whether the frame rate was holding up during regular gameplay. I didn't see any frame rate issues. I wasn't specifically looking for frame rate stuff, but I generally have a pretty good eye when it comes to whether frame rate is bad in a game, and I didn't notice it. So I would say frame rate was fine. Camden was asking if I played Bomberman. I did not. Jeweler was asking about Mario Odyssey, which was just there in the form of a trailer. There was no actual demo of it. Jeweler wants a projection of sales. I think it's going to do really well. I don't know specifics, but based on buzz, I think the premiere was a big success for them. I think the buzz is very strong. I'm a little concerned about launch titles. There are 5 by my count, and 2017 looks pretty light so far, but hopefully, I think as a device, I think it should sell pretty well. Certainly better than the Wii U, but that's not really setting the bar super high. How viable do you... Okay, so Jake is asking, how viable do you think the small, low-resolution screen will be for playing games on the go outside? Okay, so I don't think the screen is very small. I don't know if you've played on a Vita, but it's bigger than a Vita screen. And I think I'm totally fine with regards to like the screen size. I think I plan on playing it on the subway, and I could see myself very easily playing a game like Zelda on the subway. So I wouldn't worry about the screen size. Brian is asking about supply. If the Nintendo Classic is any indication, Nintendo, I would be very worried about supply. If you're worried about it, if you're worried about it, I would say definitely try to pre-order now. There are pre-orders out there. I know Best Buy, Amazon, a few other places are doing pre-orders. Definitely pre-order it if you're worried, because Nintendo supply in recent years has been pretty bad. How do games plug in is a Gabriel question. They come on a cartridge. It's like, effectively it looks like an SD card, but you can also buy expandable storage if you wanted to, say, download the games from the eShop. Tyler was asking how the brightness of the screen was, and do you think it would be good for outside use? It's hard to say. in these scenarios, yeah, if you were outside on a bright day, you'd have to crank the screen brightness up really high, and that's going to do pretty good damage to battery life. But again, we haven't done any testing, so right now I can't really speak to that. Van was asking if I've seen anything that it gives an indication of possible VR capabilities. I wouldn't get your hopes up, at least not for like insanely amazing VR stuff, since stuff like Oculus and Vive require a lot of processing power, and this is not a hardware, like a crazy processing device. This is effectively, think like, I would say like Xbox 360 plus, or like that era, a little more than that, but not by much. And you couldn't run VR on an Xbox 360, so just keep that in mind. Does it seem sturdy? Josh is asking for like a backpack. I thought that it seemed pretty sturdy. I would be a little worried about the screen scratching or whatever. I didn't do testing or anything like that, but yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. But I thought it, as a piece of hardware, it felt very solid. Nintendo's very good at that, and I would be cool like putting this in a bag. Speakers, Colin is asking about the speakers. It was very loud there. Really couldn't say how loud the speakers, I couldn't really hear them, to be honest. And my hearing is not super great to begin with. Angelo, hi, what is the high memory size of the game cartridges? I don't know how big the game carts are. The internal storage is 32 gigs, which is obviously very small. I don't know what the game carts will come in. So probably in that same range of 32 per game card, but again, you could buy like 128 gig memory stick to expand it. Jonathan is asking how long it will take to fully charge. I couldn't tell you, Jonathan, unfortunately. I don't know. Nico is asking how's the heating and cooling. I didn't feel any heat coming off of the handheld itself, so I guess it's fine. I also didn't hear a fan, so I think it's effectively heating and cooling like it is on the Vita. Is a pretty good one-to-one. George is asking about the price. I think the price is good. I was kind of expecting either this price, the $299 price, or $350. I'm bummed that it does not include a game. I thought at least like 1-2 Switch would come bundled in it. Maybe it doesn't. I just like misread the news, but it looked like 1-2 Switch is its own thing. So like I feel like bundling a game makes a big difference, especially in the idea of like selling this platform. I think it's a big reason why the Wii was such a huge success, because it had Wii Sports, and it was like, oh, instantly you get why it's so cool. I think having something like 1-2 Switch would help that. Van is asking, any difference between playing docked versus undocked power-wise? Well, if it's docked, it's effectively plugged in, so I don't know if that answers your question, but... Oh, you're probably talking about processing power. I don't think there is. I'd read some documentation that maybe it did go into a low power mode when it was running off batteries, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Just scrolling through. Yeah, so Dom was asking the same question. Does it really drop in performance? The problem was all of the devices that were there were plugged into something, so I don't know. They were like tethered, so you wouldn't run away with them. So I don't know if power is probably running to all those devices. So I don't think I used a single one that was running off battery power, so I can't say if the performance really drops down. Will Splatoon finally support split screen? I think... I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry. Yeah, Carrie is saying 1-2 Switch listed at $60, which seems crazy to me based on the games that they played, the like ridiculous milk thing. They have not justified that price at all. Maybe there's like a ton more to 1-2 Switch, but right now needs a lot of work. Brian is asking, do the Joy-Con controls feel like this might fall off the screen when playing in the handheld? Oh yeah, that's a good question, Brian. So are the Joy-Cons just going to like fall off the sides of the screen? Should you be worried about that? No, I wouldn't worry about that at all. There's actually a locking mechanism. You have to push and hold down a button to unlock the Joy-Cons so they don't slide off. It's kind of like, with luggage where you have to push down the thing to like bring the arm up on the luggage. Same kind of idea, so I wouldn't worry about them just falling off. What kind of screen does the undocked screen have? It is a 720p screen. So the games, when you are in undocked mode, they will run in 720p. When it's docked, games will run upscaled to 1080p. What is the HD touch in the Joy-Con controllers like? It's cool. We talked about it before, the haptics. There's a lot of cool features. It's not overwhelmingly amazing. I think the Xbox One controllers have better haptics, but whatever. Oh my god, so many questions. We've covered a lot of these. Is the expandable storage micro SD or standard? I believe it is X. I forget the abbreviation, but it is a set. It's not like a Nintendo standard. It's like a SD card standard. Okay. Oh my god, guys. I appreciate all these questions. They're all very good. I can't speak to bundles right now, but right now I pre-ordered one, and I just bought the $300 just the device pack. So there might be bundles coming, but for right now, none. The cards look about the size of an SD card, so that's a good sense. Does it have a motion sensor like in the Wii U? Yeah, so the Joy-Cons have motion sensing compatibility. If you watched the premiere, you probably saw a lot of that functionality. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up soon because my flight is about to arrive, and as people have mentioned, I need a shave. Yeah, SDXD is the name of the expansion. Thank you. Okay, Kenneth is asking, should Mario Kart 8 Deluxe content come on Wii U as DLC? It probably will not. I mean, whether it should or not, maybe it should, but it won't. So don't get your hopes up. There will be an eShop. Brittany is asking about the eShop. There will be an eShop. Not a lot of details about what's going to be in there. My guess is that almost all of the launch games will be in there. But yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop now because my flight is about to take off. Thank you so much for asking a bunch of questions. This has been Russ Frushtick reporting from the airport. Farewell.